Hello guys, welcome to my channel full on drama. Today I have brought you 6 Am I the Asshole Reddit stories with update. Story 1. Would I be the asshole for exposing the truth about my stepmom to my dad's family? I, 25 female, live independently and several states away from both parents and my dad's wife, stepmom, and have done so since I was 21. 2 Thanksgivings ago, I went to visit my dad's stepmom and sisters for the holiday, and my golden child cousin, whom my stepmom thinks 110% hung the moon, was invited by them to stay with us. She attends nursing school 40 minutes away. The whole time I was there, Dad was at work and stepmom kept kissing my cousin's ass about how she's going to make so much money once she finishes school. She then turns to me and says, "Too bad you will never amount to what she makes." To which I responded, "Once I finish my PhD in math, I can easily make 6 figures, as do most faculty in my department." She began to contradict me a bunch, and nobody bothered to stick up for me. That hurt like hell. The rest of my visit I had to isolate myself because of feeling like such an island. Dad and stepmom came 2 years later to watch me walk for my master's. The night before, stepmom and I got into a heated discussion over text. What happened? She suggested my mom and dad won't get along. I told her they would and that all I ask is that she maintain civility. Then I broke it to her that during our last Thanksgiving together, she and everyone hurt me badly by their treatment, and that I am still very upset. She told me to get over it and that I was gaslighting her, then begged me to call her and work it out because my dad was now upset and crying in the bedroom. I told her no, good night, I'm going to bed, and ended it. She then went on about how me telling her how she and everyone made me feel upset her, but I did not answer. The next day, we met for drinks and she apologized but suggested that I next time be more communicative, to which I responded that communication is not the issue, but rather the lack of respect she has for me. I told her I could not accept her apology because it was 2 years too late and did not involve full accountability from her. Now, I am not sure if I will be the asshole here, but I am going to visit my dad's sister next week and am thinking about showing her and my uncle the texts between us, especially the part where she told me to get over it when I was honest with her about hurting my feelings. They think she is so wonderful, but I now think it's time they know the truth. Would I be the asshole for sharing these texts as proof that stepmom is not the sweet little angel everyone thinks she is? Story 2. Am I the asshole for not agreeing with my wife's seemingly random prohibitions for my nieces when they visit? My wife, 24 female, and I, 26 male, got into an argument because she didn't think the way I spend time with my niece was acceptable. Context: I lived with my sister since my niece, 11 female, was born. Last year I've moved out on my own, and in the same year I got married to my wife. Because of the rapid shift in life and work becoming more busy than ever, I haven't had the time or energy to make time for that part of my family. Recently I made time to invite my niece over. No plans, just for her to come over and hang out with my wife and I. After picking her up on the way home, she talked about wanting to build a snowman and a bunch of other things we thought would be fun. After getting home, my wife says that while niece and I go out to play in the snow, she'll finish some chores around the house. Before going out, niece sees my VR headset and shows interest, so I offer to let her play it before going outside. She says yes, so I start it up and she starts playing. 5 minutes pass and my wife comes into the room and asks why we aren't outside yet. I tell her that niece wanted to play VR first, so I let her. Wife gets upset, saying video games isn't quality time. I respond with, "We're spending time together and niece is having fun, so why does it matter?" Wife storms off. Soon after, niece and I do go out and make a couple of snowmen and snow angles, etc. And after playing in the snow for 30-ish minutes, niece asks to play VR again. I say yes, and she skips away to play VR in the living room. We switch back and forth trying to beat each other's score in Beat Saber and stuff like that. Fast forward, I drop niece back off at home and come back home, and my wife has a list made out for me when I walk back into the door. It's a list of things that our young guests aren't allowed to do while at our house. And on the list is no playing video games amongst other seemingly arbitrary prohibitions. I say the list is not necessary, because when I bring my family or friends over I'm going to do what we enjoy. She says that's no way to spend time with kids, doing nothing but playing video games. I like doing crafts and playing board games and other things with my siblings when they come over. Why can't you do the same? I respond, because we weren't raised don't those things, so I didn't think to do those things. but if you offered to try some of that stuff when she was still here I would have obliged. But I'm not going to accept a list of prohibitions because you don't like our version of fun. The argument escalated, and I maybe sorta said some mean things like, you're too narrow-minded and dull to accept that things other than what you like are fun. So, am I the asshole? Story 3. Am I the asshole for not apologizing to my extended family and ruining this year's family gathering? Back in 2013-2014, my mom's side of the family had to evacuate FL due to an incoming hurricane. They had nowhere to go, so my immediate family and I was in high school, all agreed to put our paychecks together and have half my mom's family, 2 married sisters, 6 nieces, mom, and their pets stay with us in our house while the others stayed in a pet-friendly hotel paid for by us. When they arrived in Virginia, the week was filled with complaints that we were rubbing our wealth in their face because we were the only family to own a home and they didn't. Grandmother is very wealthy, but won't share with her struggling grandchildren, nor will she use the money to improve her own life. She also rents. We apologized and said we would do better next time. Next year, I'm graduating high school and my immediate family and I agreed to pool our funds and invite my mom's side of the family over for my graduation. This time, we would stage them in a nice 4-star hotel. Everyone who wanted their own rooms got one. Everyone else shared. They then proceeded to complain that we didn't think they were worth a 5-star hotel and secretly moved to a 5-star after we already paid for lodging. They then complained they lost money because we're too selfish to give them a nice stay. Next year my cousin graduated. We attempted to make plans to figure out the lodging but were ignored. We were simply given a time date for the graduation. My immediate family and I get a hotel in Florida. My mom's family still ignores us when we reach out. My grandfather calls and informs us the whole family is staying with him, also very wealthy, and that he would have invited us to stay with him. But the family voted no. We remained professional and enjoyed our time. The next year my brother graduates. We invite the family, but inform them they will pay for their own lodging, and if they choose not to come due to money problems, then we understand. The entire family manages to show for my brother's graduation, but they now complain the entire stay that we are asshole for not allowing them into our home, nor paying for their lodging, and that we are everything wrong with the modern-day family. I proceeded to call them out for their bullshit and that they were ungrateful, immature, pricks, and a lot of other personal things I won't get into. We've had 0 contact since, but there was an announcement of a massive family get-together in March. We were not invited, and we only knew due to my grandfather reaching out and updating us and saying he would not attend if we couldn't. Apparently the family is split 60-40 on who's going or not going to stand with us. Ultimately, it was agreed that I was the deciding factor on why my family is excluded and why the event is in shambles. They agreed we're welcome if I apologize in front of everyone and admit I was wrong, along with also paying for the more expensive items being hosted at the event. So, am I the asshole? Story 4. Am I the asshole for getting angry about being excluded from my fiancé's family vacation after being invited? Fake names for privacy. I am based in the southern USA. I, 20 female, have been with my fiancé, 20 male, Alan, for 4.5 years. Alan has an older sister, Christine, 23 female, and both parents, future mother-in-law and future father-in-law. Alan's family likes to go on vacation every other year, usually a cruise through touristy islands in NA. In 2020, before we had even been dating for a year, I was invited on a cruise with them to Puerto Rico, and I, 16, then managed to get all the money together within 2 weeks, but the trip was canceled due to COVID restrictions. In 2022, when my fiancé graduated high school, they went on a cruise as a family and I was not invited, and was asked to dog sit for them. This year is the first year I would be able to go with them in summer 2024. Christine, currently single, usually has 3 to 6 month relationships, and her boyfriends have always been welcome on vacations regardless of how long they've been together. This makes me angry, as I have been with Alan for longer than any of them, and yet was still not invited. This brings me to today. Having talked about a cruise back in November of 2023, I just reminded them I would not like for it to be over my birthday late June and would rather it be in July. They agreed, and since it was a long ways out, we did not mention it again. Apparently, as I found out today, future father-in-law had booked the tickets in December, but did not include me in the booking even though I was invited by them directly in November. Either I pay an extra $2,000 for a room across the ship and find someone else to join, or I don't go. That's kind of where we're at. I am angry that I was asked directly, and was really excited about the trip, but was not included. Alan is conflicted about what to do, and is trying to convince his parents to refund the tickets and rebook it with me included. After I bothered him for 2 hours to fix this, I would pay for my portion of the trip, which I do not mind and I expected to do anyways. I just feel extremely disrespected by being asked to join then not being booked. Because I didn't badger them enough to remember to add me in. I didn't even know they had booked the tickets, considering it is still 6 months out, and future father-in-law and future mother-in-law are not wanting to change their bookings. Am I the asshole for being angry at being excluded for this? ETA. After speaking to future father-in-law and future mother-in-law, Alan talked to Christine and asked if she could ask her friends if there was someone to join so I would not be paying the full value of the room to beds. What I did not originally know was that an extra room could be added onto their booking, so we would all still be near each other instead of across the ship like it would be if I booked separately. And their reasoning was we can't have an odd number of people because that would be paying for an unused bed. I am still conflicted on whether or not I want to actually go, because future father-in-law and future mother-in-law did not directly tell us when they had booked. And I am hearing all of this secondhand from Alan. The group chat I made in November called Cruise 2024 sits untouched as of now. In general, they are nice people, and usually a go-with-the-flow type of family. So it was a surprise all of this was booked so far in advance, which is why I hadn't asked originally for updates. ETA 2. For those asking, we have been together for 4.5 years, engaged for 4 months. We plan to stay engaged for many years, get our degrees and be in a stable financial situation before fully settling down at 23-24 years old. ETA 3. To everyone speculating that Alan is part of the reason I was not included in the booking, saying he is not a good person and to leave him, you are hearing one situation out of 4.5 years of a relationship. Not everything is a break up with them immediately moment. And while I appreciate your advice, your assumptions are just that. Assumptions. You do not know everything about my relationship, nor the relationship he has with his parents. That is not at all what this post is about. I was asking if my anger was justified at his parents, nothing about him. Please stop saying to break up with him when you don't know anything at all about us. He is the one playing middleman here, speaking to his parents about the situation on my behalf, as it's not my place to confront them. The 2 hours was spent trying to get him to figure out what to say, not to actually confront them. Poor wording on my part, but still stands that this is not a relationship advice post at all. Final ETA 4. To answer similar questions in the comments because replying individually to 700 plus comments is absurd. Current booking is future father-in-law and future mother-in-law in one room, Christine or Alan in another room. If I and Christine's friend were to join, it would be future father-in-law and future mother-in-law, Christine and friend, Alan and me. It does not matter who is in what room, just that each person has a paid for spot. This is why they did not book me. As far as rooms with single beds or triple beds, it is more expensive than paying for a double. As far as I know, you cannot have double occupancy per bed, kind of like sitting in the same seat on a flight. So even though Alan and I would still sleep in the same bed, I would still need one booked for myself. The group chat was created by me because his parents are technologically challenged, and while it was my idea, it was so his parents could inform us of the bookings and other things to keep us both in the loop. No one has used the chat since its creation in November, hence why neither Alan or I knew the tickets were even booked in the first place. Alan only found out when asking in passing yesterday. His parents did not bring it up. Alan and I cannot afford our own trip together, as we are both college students, and I cannot pay for an entire trip alone. I do not have enough friends, nor can they pay for it for me to go on my own vacation separately from his family. Alan cannot afford to buy a separate booking from his parents on the same cruise either, and his spot is already paid for, so that would just be a waste of money, regardless of the principle it holds. As for me paying for a single bedroom, those are double the price for a double bedroom, which I have to split with a friend anyways. This is paying for our spots, not which bed we'll sleep in. See above on bedding situation. It is the only affordable option for me to join. About my engagement, there is a ring, don't know why that matters, and we have been talking about marriage since about 2 years into our relationship. The decision for an extended engagement was a mutual decision, as it is logically the most beneficial outcome. This way, we have experience living together prior to marriage. We both will have degrees and a stable financial situation before fully settling down. It is not my place to ask his parents to change their plans on their vacation, which is why Alan is playing middleman. My anger came from their lack of communication, inviting me directly, not booking me, then not saying anything about the booking until Alan happened to ask about it in passing. Yet again, this is not a relationship advice post. I cannot give you a full 4.5-year backstory on one situation, as that is highly unnecessary and way too identifiable. We have been through a lot together: death, hospitalization, addiction recovery, etc., and we will continue to do so. An update will be given in the coming months as we make our decision or any other changes happen to the current situation. Story 5. Am I the asshole for being rude at my uncle knowing other people he's close with can hear me? For context, the uncle 42 male I'll be talking about is my aunt's 36 female husband. They come over quite often, at least 4 to 5 times a week, and I 23 female get along pretty well with them. I have a cute Persian kitty living with me, and his cuddles and soft little paws are all I need after a tough day at the lab. His name is Batman. As I mentioned earlier, my aunt and uncle come over quite a lot, which I do not mind in the slightest, as they are both great people that can change the vibe for the better just with their presence. My uncle loves animals and absolutely adores my cat. They get along well, and my uncle always plays with him for at least half an hour whenever he is over at my place. Last week, my aunt asked me, on my uncle's behalf, if it would be okay for him to take my cat over to his friend's place because apparently his friend's daughters wanted to play with him. I politely declined and explained how cats are really easily scared with changes in environments and when they are around people they're unfamiliar with. She thanked me for explaining, and she called my uncle right then and there to pass it on to him. Then last night, I received a text from my uncle asking me if it's okay for him to take my cat to his workplace, which is a startup business at a home-based office at his friend's place. The same place my aunt was asking about the week prior. I politely declined again, and heavily implied that I had already explained this to my aunt and witnessed her pass it on to him right in front of me. He just left me on read, not replying. This morning he called me from that office with the 2 daughters of his friend, 11 female and 14 female, asked again if he can take Batman, with the girls pleading from the background. Here I entirely lost it, and with a very firm and angry tone, said that my cat isn't an inanimate object or a toy that could be played with by random people I didn't know the first thing about. Then I told my uncle not to bother coming over again, before thinking about how and why putting me on the spot in front of the kids would make me change my mind. After I hung up on him, I think I might be the asshole because of my tone towards him while I knew his friend and daughters could hear me. So, am I the asshole? Story 6. Am I the asshole for telling my niece to keep it together until you can get the hell out? I 42 male parted ways with my brother 42 a while ago based on differences of opinion, but he called me recently. He saw a video of his daughter 16 slandering and insulting him on her friend's podcast. Apparently she had been going behind his back and hanging out with people he didn't like for years. I parted ways with him when she was 5. And at that point she already liked me a lot more than him, and he wanted me to talk to her about respect. Before I was about to talk to her, he showed me the clip from the podcast in question, and his daughter said, "Oh yeah, I fucking hate my dad. Trash human, no like. He's kept me from learning about being a mechanic. He says a woman doesn't need a degree, just an apron and a cookbook." I asked if he really behaved like that, and his answer boiled down to, "Well, yeah." I said nothing and waited until I met his daughter. I told her, "Move out as soon as possible. Your father is an absolute fool, and I wish I'd been here to correct him. When you've escaped, I'll support you as much as I can." Obviously her father had a bit of a blow up. I said nothing and left as he seethed and called me an asshole. So, am I the asshole? Thanks for watching. Comment down your verdict. Please like, share, and subscribe.